Over under 6.5, under -125. The Jaguars, of course, went 3-14 last year, finished with the worst record in football, and got the number 1 overall pick for the second straight season. Arguably the worst coaching hire in the history of professional football by bringing in Urban Meyer, firing him midseason, much ballyhooed, just misstep after misstep after misstep, just comical stuff from Jacksonville. And then there's a whole draft thing where they, of course they drafted Trayvon Walker. There was, buzz that, Shad Khan might force Aiden Hutchinson on him, yada, yada, yada. They also added Christian Kirk, Zay Jones in free agency, Evan Ingram. They signed Brandon Scherf. They spent a ton of money in free agency to try and upgrade everything around Trevor Lawrence. Carlos Hyde was released because Urban Meyer was released. DJ Chark signed with Detroit, the former potentially stud wide receiver who never really panned out. Miles Jack was released, and Andrew Norwell, another big loss, replaced by Brandon Scherf, but he signed with Washington, which they really just switched places. Brandon Linder also retired. I'm kind of bullish on the Jaguars in the sense that I think, and I was talking to our buddy Bill Ryder about this on his radio show on Wednesday morning. And he's like, who would you rather have, Trevor Lawrence or Kyler Murray for the next 5 years? Or maybe even said the rest of their career. And I was like, pretty easily Trevor Lawrence for me, because I think a year ago, everyone would have said Trevor Lawrence. And now, because of what happened in Trevor, like I've had people say, like, do you think Trevor Lawrence is just broken? Like Urban Meyer just broke him? I'm like, I don't think so. I
don't think that there were like any games. I mean, again, it wasn't like a prolific rookie season.
Don't get me wrong, but it's like the offense was abysmal.
Right. I don't think that it was Trevor Lawrence being terrible. I think it was the entire operation being terrible. Like it wasn't like, oh man, this, like right out of the gate, you just go, okay, this kid can't play. I don't think it was anything like that.
If anything, I think it was the opposite, where it's like you're watching this, Urban Meyer's like, we're going to run for 200 and pass for 200. It's like, well, you're not playing Rutgers, my man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's not going to happen every week. I think they actually did manage to do it one week somehow. But like you would watch Trevor Lawrence, you'd be like, oh, there it is. You'd see like a couple throws a game, or like at least one throw a game. You're like, man, like he has got that special talent, and his skill set and his pocket movement and his ball placement and his accuracy and his ability to use his legs. I mean, I think it was so much on Urban Meyer and on what was around Trevor Lawrence. And then you have this upgraded Doug Peterson, who's a pro's pro. Doug, he got the most out of Carson Wentz. Like, this is a guy who got the most out of Nick Foles. And I think Trevor Lawrence is probably the best quarterback prospect he'll have ever worked with. And he's going to get a ton out of it. Now, I don't think they're going to go like 10-7 this year. And certainly having to play the AFC West, just like with the rest of these, the rest of these divisions doesn't help matters. They get the AFC West. They also have to play Baltimore in week 12. Of course, like the rest of the division, they get the NFC East too, which can be good and bad. I don't know, man. I look at this team and I think that, I think they're going to beat Washington in week 1.
I do too.
I think they're going to lose to Indianapolis in week 2. But again, as I've said, I don't think anything's off the table. And then they're probably starting off 1-3 with road games to the Chargers and the Eagles.
Yeah, 1-3, 2-3. What is that? 2-3.
They beat Houston at home.
They beat Houston, yeah.
So yeah, I got them at 2-4, and then they get the Giants. There's 3 straight home games: Giants, Broncos, and Raiders. I kind of feel like they could go 2-1 in there. Maybe that's giving them too much credit.
That's a little too much credit. I'd say they beat the Giants, but I don't know if they're beating Denver or Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about. I'm not 100% sure on that, but
that's fine. All right, so wait, we had them at 2-3, and then let's say we'll give them we'll give them the Giants. So that's what 3-5. Lose at Kansas City, so that's that method, right? What did I miss there? We have them beating Washington, Houston, and the Giants. So you're 3-7 going into your week 11 bye.
Mm-hmm.
And as we noted, the over under here 6.5 with the under juiced. 5.5 feels like a better number.
Yeah.
Ravens coming out of the bye at home. I mean, that's tough to imagine a win. Weirder things have happened. I mean, the Ravens have lost. Weirder things have happened. Tough to imagine a win. At Detroit, at Tennessee. Surely they can get one there, right?
Yeah, you can get Detroit.
All right, so we got them at 4-9. Cowboys at home is probably a loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the Jets.
Yep, I could see that being a win.
Yeah. So 5-10
6 and
after week
10.
16, and then they close at Houston versus Tennessee. I think they split that too, depending on what's going on with Tennessee.
So you're sitting at 6.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you can take the over 6.5 and expect the Jaguars to win 7 games. Like they could win 7 games.
Yeah. Well, you're expecting them to take care of business against even to subpar competition like the Detroits, the New Yorks,
They have to win all the games they might win.
Right. And you need to split with Tennessee.
Probably. You basically have to split the division and sweep Houston.
Yeah.
It's asking a lot.
You're asking a lot. And as much as I think that the Doug Peterson, from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson is going to be super impactful to the overall development of Trevor Lawrence, the overall production of this team in 2022, 7 is a lot. Even in a 17-game schedule, that is a tall ask for them. Like you said, I would love that much more if it was at 5.5.
5.5, exactly. 5.5 over 125. I'd probably take 6.5. I'm not pulling the trigger. Like, again, I like Doug Peterson. I think it'll be much improved and much better coached. If Trevor Lawrence takes a massive leap, 7 wins is possible.
And they're also, and again, when we talk about that,
Wilson had the Jets at 7-10.
And when we talk about the that Jets game, it's a Thursday night in New York, so you are traveling on a short week. That's always pretty difficult there for them as well. So as much as we're penciling that in to be like, all right, that's going to be a competitive game, you are the road team on a short week.
I mean, we gave them all their easiest games. It's like at Washington, at Detroit, at the Jets. It's not easy to win road games in the NFL, much less for the Jaguars. I don't think this is a 1-16 team though, or a 3-14 team. But this is not a last place schedule. It doesn't feel like.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I mean? Or it's not even
that's just the powerhouse that is the AFC West too. I mean, your last place teams in that division are the Raiders, and that's not going to be.
You got to play that whole division, but remember they.
Right, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
but
because the Ravens finished in last in the AFC North last year, tied with the Browns won the tiebreaker because they both finished 8-9. Mm-hmm. So the Jaguars get stuck playing the Ravens, who really could be the favorite to win that division, or should be in my mind. It's like that's like your bonus last place game. That kind of sucks if you're them.
Yeah, and a lot of teams have been dealing with that too. It's very similar, like with the Broncos on the schedule as well. Like not so much with the Jaguars here, but those third place finishers that are playing the other third place finishers now are not playing a third place team. They're playing a sleeper Super Bowl team with Russell Wilson and the Broncos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whoever got the Broncos is like their third. It's like, wow, thanks.
Yeah,
like I got the Broncos. Have fun. I would probably, if I would want to monitor the Jags and see how they did throughout the offseason and see if there's like a chance that maybe the Jaguars can take a leap, because I don't think you need to take, I wouldn't want to take this under, I don't think.
Yeah, it's kind of sitting right where you don't want it to, really. I mean, like you said, if it's a game lower or a game higher, you can make a little bit of a stronger case either way, but the 6.5 to me is just, it's a little too much, because we just kind of mapped it out there. You're sitting at 6 wins. Who knows if Lawrence balls out one week or there's an injury, like you say, opens things wide up.
Yeah. And it's a manageable final stretch. And look, like you never know, like that, 2 years ago, the Cowboys, it's like, Dak Prescott's hurt, down for the season. The Cowboys are terrible. And suddenly that's a, home against the Cowboys is like your favorite in that game if you're Jacksonville and you're playing well. I just think I could be talked into the over 6.5 plus 105 after seeing some stuff this offseason. I cannot imagine this is going to get juiced to the over. Not with this team and not, it's. I don't think it's going to go down, but it's definitely not going to 7 or 7.5. That would be crazy, unless Lawrence is just, obliterating the offseason.
Right. And you can't, and like I said earlier, when we were talking about Tennessee, that week 18 game, you don't know who's in at quarterback there too. So, I mean, that is something to take note of, but obviously
Tennessee could also be playing like to win and in for the playoffs.
I was
And then
just
all
gonna
of a
say
sudden,
that it could be either side of the coin there. They could be out of it and they're throwing Malik Willis in there to see what they have, or it's a must-win game because they're trying to make it into the playoffs as a wild card team or whatever, or playing for a division title and they're going absolutely all out against Jacksonville. They're going to get obliterated.
I mean, look after your week 11 bye, you have 7 games. 3 are at home. It's the Ravens, the Cowboys, and then the Titans in that final week of the season. I mean, it's just a tough. If you're not at like 3 by the time you get to that bye, it's just going to be tough to get there. So be wary of the Jacksonville Jaguars.